Your source when you need answers. The Dr. Joe Show on CJAD 800.
Oh, yes, 336. That means Dr. Joe is here. Dr. Joe, welcome to Montreal Now. How are you?
Hey, very well. Very well.
Good.
Nice to speak to you.
Yes, thank you for doing this. As always, you wanted to talk about a new study that is linking or has the benefits of olive oil in preventing breast cancer.
Yep, a new study, and every day there are new studies. You know, I come in the morning, I open the computer, I get all of the recent updates on the current scientific literature, and it is filled with all kinds of things that we should be doing and all kinds of things that are causing us problems. And it's hard to sift it all out. Well, this new study about olive oil is an intriguing one because it talks about breast cancer and the risk thereof. Obviously, breast cancer is a very worrisome condition because it strikes so many people. And there's been an ongoing effort to see if there's any sort of a link to the diet. And so far, what really has been clear is that there is a link to obesity. Nobody contests that. The heavier you are, the greater the risk. But what about just manipulating the diet? And that's what this research paper talks about. And it looked at the consumption of olive oil in a large number of women. And, you know, when we look at these studies, the first thing that I look at is just, you know, how many subjects are there? Because, you know, it's quite a difference if you're talking about a couple of dozen women involved in the study or some thousands. Well, in this case, it is thousands. They looked at over 11,000 women. And they examined the risk of breast cancer, that is how many of them eventually came down with breast cancer over the study period, which was 5 years. And they looked at their diet. And they asked about the amount of olive oil they consume. The reason being that olive oil has been extensively studied, and, you know, it looks like it is perhaps the healthiest of all the vegetable oils. Now, the first thing to note about such studies is that it is always based on questionnaires that people fill out about their diet. And those are notoriously unreliable. People don't remember exactly what they ate, and they certainly are not very adept at amounts, you know, approximating amounts. But anyway, in this particular study, the question that was asked was whether they consumed less than 2 tablespoons of olive oil a day or more than 3. And I suppose, you know, people can have a pretty good estimate of that. And anyway, it turned out that the women who were consuming over 3 tablespoonfuls of olive oil a day had a reduced risk of the worst kind of breast cancer. There are many different kinds of breast cancer said to be hormone sensitive or not sensitive, and the more dangerous ones are the ones that are hormone receptor negative breast cancers, and those were the ones that were seen less frequently in these women. So it's interesting. What does it really mean? That's always hard to say because, you know, in such studies, of course, you have to control for other factors. You have to control for levels of exercise. You have to control for smoking. You have to control for other aspects of the diet, because it may well be that people who are putting more olive oil into their food are also the most health-conscious people, and they're also paying attention to other aspects of the diet. So, you know, they may be eating more whole grains, they may be eating more fruits, etc. You try to control for those things in these studies, but that is very difficult to do. So anyway, I think the takeaway from this study is that there certainly should be no concern about using olive oil for anyone who has breast cancer. And we also have evidence from other studies about the benefits of olive oil. So I think 2 to 3 tablespoons of olive oil a day is a good thing to do. It's a very easy way to make a salad dressing, use olive oil. And contrary to what people think, olive oil is also a very good oil for frying. Although, of course, frying itself is not the best way to cook food. But if you're going to do it, olive oil is a good one to use.
Is there anything about olive oil in particular that's in this study that sort of is the reason why
that's a very good question. olive oil, like other such oils, is a very complex oil. But its main component is oleic acid, which is what we call a monounsaturated fat. And that tends to be the most beneficial of all the types of fats that we consume. But in addition to that, olives are a fruit, and fruits are very rich in a whole set of compounds called polyphenols. And these are in the antioxidant category. And, antioxidant is maybe an overused term these days, but antioxidants are basically substances that can reduce the concentration of these notorious free radicals that form in the body whenever we inhale oxygen. So one can have a rationale for why there should be some benefit to olive oil in breast cancer and maybe in other things as well. I think it should be extra virgin olive oil, which is the best kind. It has most of the right kind of fat and has most of the polyphenols. The only problem with, whenever you talk about olive oil, you always have to mention that, unfortunately, there's a lot of fraud in the olive oil business. And there's a lot of stuff that is sold as extra virgin olive oil, which really isn't. And that's because, there's a lot of money to be made there. And in Italy, there's a whole mafia-related olive oil business. Yeah.
Well, we'll have to do a bigger investigation into big olive oil at some point to get to the bottom of it. Before we wrap up, I want to ask you about another study linking coffee to healthy aging.
Right. Now, this is also a study that shows some benefit. And in this case, 47,000 women were followed for a number of years. And again, they filled out questionnaires. And, in this case, I would say it's more reliable because you tend to know how many cups of coffee you drink a day. That's an easier thing to estimate, than how much olive oil you consume. So they looked at these women and they monitored their health status, and they determined whether they were sort of healthy agers. Well, what does that mean? If they were over 70 and reported good physical and mental health with no cognitive impairment, no memory problems, and didn't have cancer or diabetes or heart disease or kidney problems or Parkinson's disease. So these were women who were thought to be healthy. And it turned out that there was a relationship between these healthy women and the amount of coffee that they consumed. Now, I even hesitate to say this, but this is what the study showed, is that there was a relationship in those who were drinking about 7 or 8-ounce coffee a day. That is a lot of coffee. And I hesitate to say that because there have been numerous studies about the benefits of coffee drinking, and I think, there's no question that there's some benefit there. But those studies have all been in the 3 or 4 cups a day. This is the first one, that I see where they link this healthy aging to 7 cups of coffee a day. That's a lot of coffee. That's a lot of caffeine. And that would make you jittery. That might interfere with sleep. I don't know. But anyway, this is what they found in this study.
I was going to say it's a short-term problem for a long-term solution, I suppose.
That's right. That's right. So I'm still sticking with the 3 to 4 cups of coffee. But again, this study just emphasizes that coffee can have beneficial effects.
Okay, very quickly before we go, because I want to let you talk about this one. And you called it an alarming but nonsensical study that claims tampons are dangerous because of pesticide residues?
This is a study that I don't think one needs to pay much attention to, although it's going to get a lot of press, where tampons, which of course are used by 50% of the population, were tested for amounts of glyphosate, and that's a herbicide that is used, and it probably gets in there because of the cotton on which it is used. And just because they found it there, they're saying that it's a risk. Well, glyphosate may be a risk in people who use it on farms, who spray it, but the amounts that are in the tampons are infinitesimal. In fact, what they found was less than what is allowed in drinking water. So this is a nonsensical study, and just because you find something doesn't mean that it's doing anything. Numbers in science are very important. The amount of glyphosate that they found in these tampons is absolutely irrelevant. So if I were a woman of that age, I would have no concern about using tampons based upon this.
So the study doesn't have any correlation with, numbers of people who
nothing.
get
It has
sick?
correlation with nothing. The only
Okay.
thing they did was they tested tampons to see how much of this herbicide was in there. They found a trivial amount, but that is enough for a headline. Herbicide found in tampons.
Okay.
That's the headline. Without talking about amounts, it is meaningless, and the amounts are infinitesimal. So no worry there.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Joe. Appreciate it.
Thanks very much.
Dr. Joe, you can catch Dr. Joe on Sundays at 3 p.m. on CJAD 800 on the Dr. Joe Show, and he is also the director of the McGill Office for Science and Society.